All right, John again. Good evening. Going once again for that Immaculate grid, going for that low rarity score. Had a little bit of a higher game yesterday. I'll start sharing here so I can actually remember what I had, but I think it was in the 70s. Looks like it was about 74 yesterday, but that was kind of to be expected. This far right grid was there was only a handful of options. I did it a couple more times on my phone and was able to get down to a score of about 40. Is what I think it was when I tried it, and that was using the absolute optimal, which I think was Gaylord Perry down here because he played a season for the Yankees, and then taking Randy Johnson and putting him here because he started his career with the Expos before going over to Seattle in a trade for Mark Langston. And then up here, I think Greg Maddux was actually the optimal answer because he did play parts of a couple seasons with the Dodgers. In any event, I am gonna go ahead and hit refresh here and see what we've got, which are Phillies, Guardians slash Indians, A's of Philadelphia, Kansas City, and Oakland varieties, soon to be Las Vegas. Pour one out. And the Chicago Cubs. Then we've got MVP 3000 hits. I wonder if the Baseball Reference is doing like a similar thing to the New York Times crossword, which my dad did every day for many years. But they make it harder as the week goes on. MVP 3000 hits seems like a pretty easy one, but it'll be interesting to see how low rarity score. This is apparently brought to you by Duncan. It's not really brought to you by Duncan. Duncan did not give me money. I feel like I have to make that disclaimer. Let's see here. So one thing I noticed is that, and this was actually makes an appearance in my book, so I can get my shameless plug in. Baseball's Most Fun Frivolities, available on Amazon. Link will be in the description. But one of the Best of the Rest, which was my final chapter of the book, which was just little blurbs that I didn't have a whole chapter to write about. But one of them was called R.I.P. to Frank Thomas. Not that Frank Thomas, not the real Frank. No, or I shouldn't say real Frank Thomas, but uh the all-time great Hall of Famer Frank Thomas. The actual original baseball player named Frank Thomas played for most of the teams in the National League, including the expansion Mets, and the near around that time also played for the Astros. So he hit 7 of the 10 teams that were in the National League. Never went to the American League, but he hit everyone other than Cardinals, Giants, and Dodgers. So that means he should work here. And I just need to make sure I select the right one. Drum roll, please. Oh, there he is. Rounded off to a significant digit there. Almost less than 0.01. Oh well. So we'll keep moving along here. Uh Phillies and Cleveland. See Carl Santana, newly acquired Brewer, he would work here. Kenny Lofton is a common one to go with. I want to say Julio Franco might work. I want to say he played like an early season with Philadelphia, but I can't. I'm not saying that with a ton of confidence. Jim Thome will obviously work. Let's come back to that one. It's an interesting one. I haven't. I don't think I've seen that one come up. Of course, we've got. Let's start to hang around here. I got this one really quick, but then I'm trying to come up with some other ones. Jason Kendall will work for this one. That's a pretty good one because he's not known for either team, but he I think was traded from the A's to the Cubs. Um, let's see. As far as Phillies, oh, I've got a really good Phillies MVP. So if you want to not be creative, you'll go with Bryce Harper. That's the most recent one. Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins both won MVPs. Chase Utley never won an MVP. Probably should have. Look at the wars. Um, and then you had Mike Schmidt won 3 MVPs for the Phillies. So a lot of good options there. I'm going to go even deeper than that. I'm going to go to one of the great relief seasons of all time for the 1950 pennant-winning Phillies, which was Jim Constanti. Yep, got that right. He won the 1950 NL MVP. Wasn't even a Cy Young yet. He straight up won the MVP as a reliever. I think he did throw like 150 innings, but he was deemed the guy. So that's 1%. It's probably Chuck Klein also would have worked. I'm pretty sure. Won a triple crown, so he'd be a good option. Let's see here. As far as people with 3,000 hits, the original name for the Cleveland baseball team, now called the Guardians, not the original name, I shouldn't say that. I think they were, well, at one point very early on, they changed their name to the Cleveland Naps, and that was after Nap Lajoie, who was a uh, second baseman, got over 3,000 hits, so he'll work here. Um, some other ones that will work include Eddie Murray. He was briefly with Cleveland. Couple years in there actually. And then, man, who else? Let's see, because I mean Eddie Collins, I don't think played for Cleveland. Tris Speaker will also work. Tris Speaker might be. I mean, Tris Speaker works for Cleveland, Boston, and then I had him a few days ago. Oh, he'll actually work here. What if I did this? Let's do this because he worked for. I had it for Twins and A's because he played like a season with the Senators and a season with the Philadelphia A's right at the end of his career. I think he'll be a pretty rare one for here, and the reason is because I think he'll draw a lot here, so 0.7%. All right. Jose Mesa will work here. Fun fact, Jose Mesa is number 2 all time in saves for the Philadelphia Phillies, behind Jonathan Papelbon. That was also in my best of the rest chapter. Dare I go with him already? Yeah, let's go with him. See how he does. 1%. Okay. Um, yeah, Nap Lajoie's the thing is like they named the team after him, so that's got to be like at least somewhat prominent. Like I think Cleveland fans, like real diehard Cleveland fans, will know that. So maybe I should have gone with Speaker, but they'll know him too. So, um, man, who else from like Dave Winfield was never with Cleveland. Tony Gwynn was never obviously never with Cleveland. I'm just going through like some of the people from my youth. So actually, I think Knapp's going to be a pretty prominent one then. Let's see. For the Cubs, Cap Anson was the first person to get to 3,000 hits. And yeah, I think it's like Eddie Collins and Tris Speaker, Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, Paul Wainer. I'm pretty sure was a lifelong Pirate or career-long Pirate. Stan Musial. We get into Henry Aaron, Willie Mays. Ooh, Lou Brock would work for the Cubs. That's interesting. I wonder what would be less prominent. Lou Brock playing that little bit of a season before being traded for Brolio, or Cap Anson, who did all the way in the 19th century. Yeah, I wonder if it's just those two. Dawson didn't quite get there. Dawson was at 2,700 career hits. Ernie Banks didn't do it. Billy Williams didn't do it. Ryan Sandberg never did it. Sammy Sosa didn't do it. Rafael Palmeiro. I've got his rookie card with the Cubs, so he would work. Actually, I think Palmeiro will be more prominent than most there. I think I'm gonna go all the way back. I'm gonna go with the OG. See how Cap Anson does. First player ever to do it. Takes 27%. Okay. But if he's taking 27%, and I got Eddie Murray, or excuse me, not Eddie Murray, I got Rafael Palmeiro and I got Lou Brock, and I'm not coming up with anyone else off the top of my head. I also got to believe that Knapp is actually gonna like if he got 27, people know they're 3,000 hits guys. So I'll let me think. Are there any others? Like I rattled off a bunch. I'll see Robin Yount, who's over here somewhere. He never did it, or excuse me, he did do it, but not for the not for Cleveland. Off Cleveland, he got his 3,000th hit off Jose Mesa. So that's nice. That worked out, and he'll work down here. That'll be a fun little bit of symmetry if I can make that work. But I'll probably rattle off the people who got 3,000 hits and see who's the best rarity score that I can think of. Anyway, I'm rambling a bit. So I think this one actually was kind of a surprising grid buster, but um, let's see. While we're on the subject of pitchers from the 1950s who won MVPs, I think I've used Bobby Shantz before, but he definitely won the MVP. I think in 53 or something like that. 0.4%. Um, ooh, Dave Stewart will work here. Oh, so will Dennis Eckersley. I wonder if those will do worse or better than Jason Kendall. They both have their numbers retired by the team. Man, I'm trying to remember. Did Gossage hit both these teams? Don't remember. All right. It's interesting. Maybe I should have gone with speaker here and gone with someone better here, but I'm gonna go with Knapp. He takes 20%, which I think Murray actually does better than 20%. Um, let's see. All right. So of those people who got to 3,000 hits, I'm not actually sure how the if the pre-BBWAA MVP is going to count here. I don't want to roll those. I'm not going to roll those dice, especially since I don't actually know. Um, but Aaron won the MVP once. Mays won it twice. Musial won it 3 times. They would all work. Yastrzemski won in the year he won the Triple Crown, 1967. Carew won an MVP. Yeah, like I said, it'd be kind of cool if I had Yount here because he got his 3,000th hit off Jose Mesa, and he was a 2-time MVP, and he's my dad's favorite player as Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I wonder if that would be. I think Carew would actually be more obscure than Yount. There's nothing in the world that's obscure about. Yastrzemski's got the Boston faithful. It's a huge fan base. I think people are going to guess that Aaron probably won an MVP. I think they'll be surprised that he only won once, and for that matter, that Willie Mays only won twice. I think Rod Carew is going to be the optimal answer. Pujols obviously works as well. Cabrera works as well. Um, Ripken would work. Ricky Henderson would work. And Ricky Henderson was like 3,000 hits is like pretty low on Ricky Henderson's list of accomplishments. Like usually 3,000 hits is like a major career thing. But for Ricky Henderson, he did win an MVP in 1990 and he did get to 3,000 hits. Um, and a lot of people will choose him here. So maybe that would be a good one. But I think I'm going to go with Carew for that 1977 season. 2%. All right, that'll be interesting. I'll play that one. Interested to see on my phone who actually if Henderson actually perversely does less. All right, I'm just gonna go Jason Kendall. I've been rambling enough for you guys. How does he do? Oh, less than 1%. Okay, so I got a score of 53. Um, Most people with Pete Rose. That's actually, or not most, but the plurality went with Pete Rose. I was right. Murray and Brock were more common than my picks. We've got four and we've got three, which I think means I didn't miss any Cubs. I think that's right. These are the same. I didn't miss any Cubs. I got all three, right? Um, he says recording this video by himself. But if I'm looking for Cleveland here, I got Knapp. I got Winfield. Winfield played for Cleveland. When? I'll look at that later. Speaker, I mentioned. Speaker might have been optimal, and then Eddie Murray. Um, and Murray was the actually the most common one. The reason, like Rose's MVP is also like kind of lower on his list. I was right. Henderson was actually the most selected MVP for the A's. Um, or maybe I was wrong about that because I said MVP was low on his. No, I said 3,000 hits was low on his list of accomplishments. I think I am. I think that would have been a sneaky one to get there. Um, oh, I guess in his last year, Winfield played 46 games for the 100-win Cleveland Indians. Hit 191 as a DH. All right. Well, this was cool. I think given these two, that's kind of a grid buster. So 53 is pretty good. I'll once again play it on my phone and see if I can beat that. But I'm pretty good with that. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll play a little bit more Immaculate Grid tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone.